and also a list that needs to be taken not to the extreme. Desire to be recognized and appreciated. That is not a bad thing. That's actually one of the 5 love languages, is being, what is it, words of affirmation, being appreciated. That's not a bad thing. But where you're basing who you are on that and needing that to feel valued, I mean, not feel valued. That's good.
You want to be put on the pedestal.
Instagram, tweet,
yes, that's a great example.
Social media.
That is a great example. I know somebody who would post something on Instagram, and if they didn't have a certain amount of likes in like 5 minutes, they'd take the picture down because they were like, oh, it has to be a bad picture because I didn't get 50 likes in 5 minutes.
And look at all the 10, 11, 12-year-olds that are killing themselves, literally,
Yeah.
because of what's said on these social medias.
Mhm.
That's how much power it's holding over youth.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Insane.
but I mean, there's sometimes where we think that if someone hasn't acknowledged the things that we're doing, then
They don't like it.
yeah, they don't like us, or I'm undervalued here, and I just need to. What if I quit? Then they're gonna know what life is like without me, and then they'll really value me. I mean, God sees what you're doing. God, if you're giving your all to something simply for the praise of man, you're doing it for the wrong reason anyway. That's part of being hidden, like what Banning talked about. That he is the one who will value those things. And those are the treasures you're building up in heaven, even if no one sees it here. Then ultimately, people are probably seeing it, even if they're not saying anything to you.
Isn't it actually better for people not to see it? I mean, if someone's trying to truly focus on pleasing the Lord, everything you do, every person you speak to, every essay you write, for us that work, every boss we have that's a jerk, whatever it may be, coworker, every time we say something that pleases the Lord, because that's where our heart's intention is, that's what it's about, because that's what's making us a better person. And what we don't know is the people that are watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody, to an extent, likes words of affirmation. That's why it's good to appreciate people when we think of it. Whenever you think about, wow, that person did something, really helpful or really selfless, like say something to them, don't just think it in your head. It's good to do that. But then it's also good to not need that all the time. But I mean, for example, if you're in a relationship with somebody and that's your love language is words of affirmation, it's good to let them know that so that they know they appreciate hearing this more than most people. So it's good to know. Yeah, it's good for even if you're not married, because it's just
if you're not married, because you know how to better pick a partner.
And just how to love people around you. Like, oh, this person acts this way because your kids, yeah. Oh, this person acts this way because they want to feel loved this way. That's kind of how even my siblings, I have to recognize, like, oh, like my youngest, one of my little sisters, she loves giving gifts. And she loves receiving words of affirmation. She can really easily, like kind of like what Gunnar was saying, she can easily start tearing herself down and feeling like worthless. And so she really, that's one of her love languages, is just having words of affirmation poured on her. And I think it's because when she was younger, she had the opposite always on her, as just negative things said about her. But so anyways, if you haven't read that book, it's good to read it, just to even figure out how you best receive love and how you can recognize it in other people.
You can take a test online too. You can Google it and take the...
It's not a long book, even if you just read like the summary on those things. And you're not always just one either. It would just be I'm most at this one, second. The 5 love languages. I think it's Gary Chapman. Yeah. I think they write one. He has one basic version, and I think he might have one that's a singles version, doesn't he? I mean, yeah, that's what. It doesn't really matter.
Null and void, because it's not going to be any different.
I know.
There's different tests though. There's tests for if you're married, or sets for if you're single, or
Well,
sets for
and
if
then
you're
like they have
certain
different
age.
relationships, like
Okay.
like because like I did one with my dad, and so
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Yeah, like if they have one, there's one there, and it was a book based on like a father-daughter relationship. So.
Wow, I didn't know that they had that. How interesting. That'd be a good read.
Still, I mean, it's still all the same. I mean, your love language doesn't change.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mine did.
based on age, it does.
Oh,
right, that's true.
But I mean, but her being 16 taking the test and being 18 and taking
Yeah.
the test with her dad, that's a different relationship.
Yeah.
We have
And
a marriage devotion of the 5 love languages that is for
That's
oh, that's cool. So they've expanded. They've
Oh, yeah,
taken
it's
things
a-
from the.
business.
Whenever I was doing my mom's eulogy, I was one of the things I brought out was the 5 love languages and how she was so good at showing all 5 of them. She was just so good at it. She's a very loving person. Her love language, I don't know. She has some. I guess she had.
Probably all 5 of them.
Yeah.
Was good.
But she loved. She's very touchy and very words of affirmation. Oh my gosh, always saying good things about people.
You're very blessed to have had that.
I know. Well, yeah, and that's why I did that tribute to her because she deserved it. Okay, next one. Hurt feelings when others are promoted, but I am overlooked. See, that is okay to an extent because I've been there. But in those instances, I mean, it's kind of like Joseph, you know, and his being left in the dungeon while the other guys were taken out. God has a plan still, and if you're seeking Him, He's not forgotten you. I mean, He's never gonna forget you. So it's okay to have your feelings hurt in those instances, but don't dwell on it. And
So like,
Know where your check is.
so like if you do something to be looked at and then getting hurt for not being seen, like, is that what you mean? Yeah.
Well,
Um,
say you're wanting a promotion at work, and you've really worked your butt off to get it. You've
Yeah.
met all the criteria, and this person who's been with the company for 6 months
Yes.
gets that promotion because they're in the in-click crowd.
that's what happened to me.
Many times,
The bank.
but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying everything I'm thinking.
Yes.
but a really good way of looking at that is really observe or learn to observe what's around you and why people are put in the positions that they're in, and be thankful that it wasn't you. Because
Yes.
a lot of times why they get that position and how they get that position is just evil. And it
Yeah.
warps people. It
Yeah.
really warps people.
Well, and it was so that happened, and I was like, man, it made me really not want to work there anymore. But then Sam offered me this job, and so then I was like, it was perfect timing. And so it was a good, I mean, like Michael brought this up the other day, it was a good thing that I didn't take that job because I probably would have stayed at the bank and maybe not taken this job. And so, but yeah, it could be an actual job, like a paying job, or it could be a place in ministry that's a volunteer position, you know, just feeling overlooked in a situation where you really wanted to be the one chosen for something.
And then you think like, oh, why did they get that? I feel like I'm better than them. Would be like the pride part of it, you know, like
Yeah.
I deserve it more or something like that.
Yeah. Or it could be hurt feelings.
But being honest, you really could have been better qualified or been a better candidate for that position. But you are best friends with that person's sister.
Yeah.
You have
Or
to guard
it may
against
be-
having pride.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't God's will for you to have that position.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, because, you know, we're talking about not being qualified for something, and that's where God comes in and, like, shows His strength in your weakness. Maybe that person wasn't as qualified, but that was their destiny. Yeah, and God wanted to show His strength in that person's life, and He has something else for you. That's just so all of this, I think, is just an aspect of trusting God and His plan for our life, and not where we think we should be.
Well, I think there's another side to that too, because at the same time, like, okay, this is, I'm not going to say any names or say anything, but I was in a situation where, like, in this youth group, and the youth leader said something about this person, and they're like, yes, we're just so grateful to have this person here. They're the only one that stayed with us from the beginning, and I was kind of like, I've been here just as long as that person, and I come here every Wednesday and Sunday, and I can think of many times I've been here that I have, and like kind of, so you have to like guard yourself
Yeah.
against that too, because in that situation, it was just a like kind of an envy of like, been here this entire time. It wasn't even the praise that I wanted. I was just kind of like, did you just forget, you know, that, hey, I'm here too. But,
Yeah.
Or, you know, like they would give opportunities for different situations, but like at the same time, you know, you have to have that trust and have to guard against like
Offense.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that, you know, they had no intention to offend that way. They were just, you know, just came out that
They
way.
just wanted to recognize that person. They ended up. You have to, especially from the pulpit. There's been times where Sam like recognized some guest or something that we had, but then I saw another guest in the audience, and I'm like, got to be careful about recognizing, because then what if this person's like, well, he didn't call me out, and I'm a guest here. So I was just like, there's been opportunities like that for people to be offended, even in our church, and I'm just like, I hope. It's just an opportunity to choose offense or not, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know.
'Cause Sam,
And then also you have to remember Sam's getting older, and he
Yes.
forgets,
Yes.
he just forgets stuff. We could tell him 50 times before service starts, make sure that you remind people to go to the coffee shop, that the coffee shop's open so they can buy coffee.
Yeah.
Remember to tell people the coffee shop's open. And he gets up there and gets talking about something, he doesn't say it, and we said it 20 times, we text him and everything, and he just doesn't say it, and so... Part of it is that, and so, but then people have the opportunity to be offended. Did you have an example?
No, I'm just saying how like in services he'll call out some people
And then not
You
others,
see
and
it,
you're like, this is
yeah.
awkward, but
but
he's just,
on our point of view, we know that he's just getting older.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he doesn't do it on purpose. He's like, yeah, you're new,
Mhm.
good for you. Yeah, special guest. You know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so we know that, but
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not like that.
yeah. So there's been instances like that where someone could have been, like what you're
Well, I
saying.
think you just have to check your spirit, and like God really kind of called me out on it, and is like,